Welcome back, everybody. I'm Marvin Jackson, and joining me on Around the Diamond is Chelsea James of the Washington Post. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Chelsea, we're in the second half of the season and things are getting heated up. I mean, there's a lot going on in Major League Baseball. Let's talk about the Washington Nationals first, though. We're going to get into the rest of the league, but let's talk about the Washington Nationals. And this is a team that, 2 seasons ago, the second half of the season, man, they just came on like gangbusters. And is that something that we can expect to see this season?
It feels a little bit less likely. I think they have fewer pieces, than they did in 2019. They don't know what Stephen Strasburg's condition is going to be. He's working his way back from injury. I do think, in a weird way, they sort of think it's possible. I think once you kind of come back from the dead like they did in 2019, you sort of stop ruling things out. So for me, I think it'll be interesting to watch because I think in their manager and their personality, they're just kind of built to kind of hang in there like they have. But I'm not sure they're quite as talented as they were then.
Yeah. Once that happens, it's almost like you just think that you can do it again, right?
Yeah.
And they do still have some guys on that team from that team. So, and like you said, Martinez, I think he probably talks to them about that. Like, we can do it. We've done it before,
Yes.
So, yeah. So that's always a possibility. What do you see do you think the Mets are the team that you have to beat?
I think so. I think that they have the most talent. They've been able to spend a lot of money and may be able to add some talent, moving forward. But they just haven't really been able to run away with it yet. So I think, the Braves have added some people. They might be able to make a late push. But, I think the Mets, this is theirs to lose. And so far, they have not been able to sort of seize their opportunity to run away with it. You just never know. They're going to play enough teams in the Phillies, the Braves, and the Nationals who think they have a chance that, that it's not going to be an easy road for the Mets the rest of the way. So I think they should win it. But whether they will or not, obviously remains to be seen.
In the beginning of the season, everybody thought the Braves and the Phillies would even be up there. But the NL East just has stayed pretty close. The parity's there. And I'm just surprised at that. I just thought that a couple of those teams might kind of run away with it, but they didn't.
For sure. I definitely thought the same thing. I thought the Phillies might put it together. I thought the Braves would certainly put it together. I thought the Nationals would have a tough time and they have, but they're not out of it yet. And I just think a lot of injuries, and just a lot of people kind of underperforming, but we'll see what happens. It's going to make at least for an interesting couple of months since no one's really out of it. So
who has to really play well this second half of the season? We know Soto, Juan, he's it's strange, but I'm saying Hall of Famer already, but he's just a great player. Are there any other guys that have to play A-level baseball? What about Robles? Does he have to come back and play well? What are the keys?
Yeah, I think that Robles is a great point. I think Soto looks like he's ready to kind of go off in the second half. And like you say, you kind of know what you're going to get, but they've gotten a lot of help from Josh Bell, who's, struggled in his first couple months here and has been able to do a lot more recently. I think I saw that he was hitting, 300 or so over the course of a month. If they can get him, helping out like that, that's going to be big. It'll be interesting to see when they can get Kyle Schwarber back. He was obviously on a tear until he hurt his hamstring. If he makes his way back, then you start to look like you're in good shape. But I think Robles is a really interesting point because, he has underperformed offensively. And he's the kind of guy who has done it before. He almost had a 20 homer season a couple of years ago. And if he suddenly finds it, then all of a sudden you have someone contributing in a way you didn't really plan for. Because I think at this point, they just it's a down year for him. So he's somebody that'll make a big difference if he gets hot. And if Trey Turner can just keep doing what he's doing, I think those are the names that have to stay steady if they're going to hang in there.
All right. And let's talk about the rest of the major leagues. Any surprises to you in the other divisions and in American League as well?
Yeah, I think the big one is the San Francisco Giants. We
Wow.
all thought the Dodgers and the Padres would be slugging it out, and they are, but the Giants happen to be doing it better right now. And they've had a couple of huge wins against the Dodgers lately. They just don't seem to be going anywhere. So
What is it that makes them special? What is it that makes the Giants so special?
You know, I think a lot of teams are asking that because they're looking at that team and saying, you're the oldest team in the majors. You have a championship team from 2014 that you're still kind of running out there. But I think they've got a lot of experience. I think they put a lot of data in the hands of their players in a way that the players accept. It's one thing to have that information. It's another to have them believe in it. And I think they did a good job of adding pitching that, was cheap, but then sort of running those guys around and having them be reliable starters. So I think they've just really maximized the talent they've had. And we have veteran guys like Buster Posey and Brandon Crawford who've won titles. You're not just a bunch of schmucks out there. They know how to win down the stretch. So I think that's all kind of come together really nicely for them.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about Dusty Baker and the job he's done with Houston. I mean, that's our old friend. He's really pulled that team together because there are a lot of new guys that are performing well, young guys too. Let's talk a little bit about him and what he has been able to do.
No doubt. It's been great to see them have success. It's funny. I feel like Dusty somehow is always getting the short end of the stick, whether it's, getting fired from DC the way he did or taking over the Astros, who obviously had a, scandal they were trying to come back from. Dusty spent a year and a half now answering questions about something he was never a part of, cheating and saying, can we please move on? But, I think it's sort of the Dusty magic, if you will, that with all that going on, these guys are just playing really well again. These guys that had bad seasons last year and Correa and Altuve are bouncing back and they're a juggernaut. Their offense is unbelievable. And if they can add a pitcher or two down, at the deadline, they're going to be formidable again. They're going to be right in the mix in October. And a lot of that, I think, is probably the steadiness of Dusty. You just know what you're going to get. He's going to trust the stars and let them be themselves, and they have. So I hope for his sake, they are able to make a run at this because, he deserves that. And he's come close so many times.
All right. Any particular teams that you think might be there in October?
It's tough. The Red Sox are surprising some people. In the American League East, there's the Yankees were supposed to dominate, but I also think the Rays, they just traded for Nelson Cruz. They're going to be good. But otherwise, it's just hard to say. Maybe the Mets catch fire, but I think, for the most part, you're going to be looking west at the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants and whoever kind of can be the last team standing. I think is going to have a really good chance to go all the way.
All right. And just overall, just a few seconds. How is Major League Baseball? Is it in good shape right now?
I always think that the more people are complaining about Major League Baseball, the better. It means that people are watching and thinking about it. And there are a lot of people complaining right now, but I think they've got the offense-defense balance under control a little bit, taking out the sticky substances the pitchers were using. I think, they've got marketable stars that they've never had in Shohei Ohtani. And I just think people are watching. So I think they're in good shape.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you being on Around the Diamond. And we got to get you back on before the season's over.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Around the Diamond. I'd like to thank Chelsea Janes of the Washington Post for joining us, and also Dwayne Sims, who joined us earlier. For Around the Diamond, I'm Marvin Jackson. We'll see you next time.